button, right cat, meow. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's get into the wife. I just left off with the attack from Itachi and all that. After that, they'll go on looking for Tsunade. Well, this time, Naruto would be training his wind style and his water style. First, what gets unlocked is water style, water drill, or Rasengan water drill. And what he creates out of this Naruto is that he creates Rasengan water style, Rasengan water arm spear, like lance, Rasengan water style, Rasengan lance. Because he covers his whole arm in water. And he would jump off, striking, and would burrow through trees, completely destroying them. With a huge curl explosion. Which would harm his arm, but because all of his chakra regeneration, 9 tails, twice the regeneration power, just to say, his holy chakra, which already regenerates him by how much it is. Because, have you guys not know this, but if you have like piles of chakra, it automatically heals you. That's why the Uzumakis have like a healing factor, I'm pretty sure. I know they can, if you bite them, they heal you, but I'm not talking about they can actually heal themselves. But I think that's because Hashirama had so much chakra that he can heal himself. So, and I'm not sure if this is true, but I would think that Orochimaru's like whole thing, the curse mark, would regenerate people. Because we've seen people regenerate, I think. Or at least bounce back to attacks that would normally kill somebody. So he would have regenerated his arm, but it would hurt a lot. This is him after his clones mastered it, so yeah. And it would be the same thing about how the wind style Rasen Shuriken, because it's like the Rasen Shuriken, like a more perfected form. Like the drill is like wind style Rasengan, and the lance, Rasen lance, is like the second, like the better version of it. So yeah. So it's a lot stronger than the drill. So he would need to learn how to not shoot it away, but somehow protect his arm or shoot it either way. So he's been practicing and he's been thinking. And I'll just say that he just keeps on palming the tree every time he messes up. He's been practicing with their clones where he doesn't hurt his arm too much. But this is whenever he keeps on palming the tree and he's thinking, as long as I can just shoot it away, palming the tree so many times that it gets shot away. And he thinks, and he does Rasen lance, and or water style Rasen lance, and would push with the wind style wind palm into it, and that would cause a burst of it going outwards. And if you guys are wondering, he will eventually just learn how to use it on his hand. But I'll say that's whenever he like unlocks Sage Mode, which he will. That's even more power-ups on him. Just think about it. But yeah. So his wind style, after training for like a week, which they would be about to find, Tsunade, but not yet. They would learn. He would learn Rasengan, Wind Style, Rasengan, and he would learn to pretty much smack it down. But it wouldn't damage his arm because it's just the Wind Style one, not the Rasengan Shuriken. Rasengan Shuriken, yeah. So he wouldn't damage his arm, but he's trying to perfect it, make it stronger, like he did the Lance. So they would find Tsunade. But this is whenever they'll find her. She talks smack about the third Hokage. Naruto asks her to fight. And this is whenever Naruto would put his hand to the ground, making the Rasengan, hitting the ground. This is when you see him put his arm over it, and would go all the way up his arm. And he would say, Rasengan Lance. With Tsunade knowing that was the Rasengan, but what is this on top of it? And he would ask Jiraiya. Jiraiya would explain that Naruto has mastered the Rasengan, and made it how it was originally supposed to be used, with chakra natures. Saying that this is one of his most perfected forms of it with water style. He would do this, but he says that it's so devastating that it hurts his arm, so he has to shoot it. But I don't think he's going to do it this time, because it'll lose some of its strength. And people could dodge it, so he's probably going to strike you. So get ready, Tsunade. Don't underestimate this kid. We know you're able to go in like a half-state curse mark mode. Naruto would probably activate his like back rings and little scarf activating. And this is whenever he would say, get ready, flying. And Naruto would activate lightning around him and shoot off. Tsunade would of course try to dodge, with her going to punch him in the stomach. With Naruto seeing this, that's whenever he activates lightning transfer, transferring his position in a certain area. It's really like a form of like flying Raijin, but it's not long range. It's kind of just for dodging moves in midair. Like if some kunai that he can't dodge in midair is coming at him, he can just teleport to like a certain area. So, like, I'll say it's about 4 foot wide. Not 4 foot from his body, from every angle. So he can only slightly dodge moves, but if it's like a giant move, he has to use Flying Raijin. This is where she'll see him do lightning transfer. And he would swing his arm, doing it again, coming above her, and would strike down. With him, of course, missing it, hitting the ground. And I'll say they went somewhere bigger because Jiraiya suggested it, saying that you don't want to destroy the ground in this village. And she would be like, oh, he's scared that I'll destroy stuff, not Naruto destroying stuff. And he would use Wind Palm and shoot it off, hitting the ground with him. Pretty much, he already knew this was going to happen, how big the scale is. So he probably would have left a kunai at a tree. And he would fly Raijin back with the whole explosion, hitting the ground, exploding her back, which would hurt her. And Naruto would say that I win, picking up his kunai, twirling it and putting it away. she would agree and she would become Hokage. They would just go ahead and went all the way back. Skipping time skip. Naruto, of course, would train on the way, but nothing too much could perfect it yet. This is whenever Naruto would ask her to check up what happens whenever he uses his Lossing Lance on his arm. She would explain that it's like the water's cutting into your muscle fibers and would eventually harm your arm, where you can't move it for quite a long time unless somebody fixes up completely with a long process. This is whenever Sasuke would come up to Jiraiya and ask to train with them, because he's seen how strong Naruto got. Jiraiya would accept. And they would skip the whole Sound 4 thing, going on to training. This might be a short episode like all my last episodes, but I'll actually do Shippuden on this later on, after like one other Naruto What If. But it would be kind of training with Naruto and Sasuke learning more jutsus. And this is where I leave it off. Hit the like.